Today we'll be drafting problem 4.1 from Drafting for the Theater, 2nd edition, Dennis Dorn and Mark Shanda. So to begin, I'm going to open my template file and choose the drafting template that I created earlier. Now we've got a nice space to draft in. And what I want to do is start with a layer. And at this drawing, we only have the 0 layer. That's the default layer, and we don't want to use that. We want to use our own. So we'll create a new thing. And the first thing we are going to create is a border layer. Oh, my caps are all on. That's okay. Border layer. Its line type is going to be continuous, and its line weight is going to be 0.5. That'll make a thick line. And then I'm going to want a scenic layer, and it's going to be thin. And I'm going to have its line type be 0.25. I'm going to have another scenic layer, and its weight will be 0.35, so it's a little thicker. Oops, I shouldn't have named it scenic layer. I should have named it scenic thick. Or thick. Next, I'll create a dimension layer. Dimension. And its line weight will be 0.25. Center line. So we want to choose a different line type, and we don't have any loaded, so we'll go to Load and choose Center. And while we're here, we can choose other lines to load. So if we hold down the Control button, we can do dashed ×2, hidden, and phantom. Well, as a normal dash. And we were doing the center line, so we'll select center line. And that's good for layers for now. So we can leave there. And the first thing we're going to do is draw the border. So I'll select border. And when you're looking at the problem, you'll see that the border is 1/2 inch away from the page size, which we know is 8.5 by 11. So that means that the border is 10 inches by 7.5 inches. So if we start to type rectangle, REC, it auto-filled rectangle, hit enter, and we can just pick a point anywhere we want, and it wants to know the other corner point. So we can do 10, 7.5. And now it gave us our border. And then we want to do the title block. And in the instructions, the top line of the title block is a 3/8 inch away. Again, that's 3/8 of an inch. So to do that, I can type L, enter for line. And then if I hover over the corner, this is a good time to talk about our O snaps. Do you see how a green line appears when my mouse gets close to the corner? That's an O snap. So let's go ahead and check our settings. Down at the bottom of the page in the status line, there's a blue square for me, and I'll click the arrow right next to it, O snap, and I can set what I want my mouse to snap to when it gets close to something. So I have selected endpoint, midpoint, center, geometric center, node, intersection, extension, and perpendicular. So I'll leave out of that. I'll go back to my corner point, and I know that I want to go 3/8 of an inch up. So if I draw my mouse up, see how it says perpendicular, 0 dash, 0 3/16 of an inch? If I just type 3/8, it brought the line up 3/8 of an inch. And then I can go across, and I have perpendicular selected, so it'll go perpendicular to the edge of the border. And I'm done with my line, so I can right-click to complete it. Now, here's something fun. You can see that the title block is divided into 4 segments. So we don't have to do math, we can make Autocad work for us. So if I start to type divide, D-I-V, see how it completes to divide? Enter. I'm going to select my object, this line we just drew, and the number of segments is 4. Enter. Now nothing happened. That's okay. We need to select our point type. So if you type PT for P type and hit enter, you can select your point style. So I'm going to select over here in the second row in the 4th column, the circle with an X through it, and I'll hit OK. And now I have 3 points that will tell me how I can divide this. So I can just draw lines from the node. It's important. If you're not able to click on that, you need to go back to your O snaps and make sure that node is checked. So we'll go back out of there and go to the perpendicular. Right click because you're complete. Right click again to re-engage line. Go back through. So when I say right click to complete and right click to re-engage, if you were following along in previous videos, you went to Options, User Preferences, right-click Customization, and turned on the time-sensitive right-click. What that means is that when you don't have anything selected, when you right-click, you are redoing the last command. You are reselecting your last command. So for me, that was just going to options. I can click out of that. So if I type L, enter, and draw a line, and click a point, when I'm done clicking points, I can right-click to complete the command. So the line is complete. I don't have anything selected. And if I right-click again, it will reselect the tool that I was just using. So I right-click, and now I have a line again, and I can select a first point, a second point, a third point, 4th point, and then right-click when I'm done. So that's how you can quickly do the same thing over and over again. So I don't want these lines, so to delete them, I can left-click and then move my mouse up to get a selection window, and that will select them, and I can delete them. Now, Control-C, another thing to be aware of. If you left-click and go to the right, you have a blue box, which will only select objects that are completely enclosed by the blue object. So here I'm only selecting the line at the bottom because it was the only object that was completely enclosed. You can hit Escape to deselect. So to repeat, green line selects everything that the green box touches, and blue box selects only those objects that are completely enclosed by the blue box, and that's just the direction you move your mouse after you click. So once you've gotten your lines with the segments, you can delete your points because you don't need your reference points anymore. There. Now the first thing we want to do next is to find the center of this area. And we can do that by using line again, from a top corner to another corner. Line again, corner to corner. Now that I know the center, I can start building the two circles at the center. So if I type C, enter, I can specify the center there, and then the instructions tell us the diameter, but AutoCAD wants to know the radius as the default. So if I hit D, enter, I can specify the diameter, which the instruction told me was 1/2 inch. It's made a circle, and I need a second circle, so I can right-click to re-engage circle, select my center again, D, enter for diameter, and then the instructions told us it was 3 inches. So now I've got my two circles. One mistake I just made was that I started making new lines without paying attention to my layer. So these objects are still on the border layer, and I want them to be on the scenic thick, which I spelled incorrectly. So I can go back to layer properties and update the spelling. Thick. So when I click on the line up here, it says scenic thick. And if I have nothing deselected, I can change my current, what all new things will be drawn on, scenic thick. Now I want to draw the diamond or square that encloses the circle. And if you look at the instructions, you can see that there is a 2.5 inch line coming, if we look here, a 2.5 inch line coming from the end of the square to the page border, and it's in line with the center of our circle. So what I can do is just draw a line from the center of our circle all the way to the edge of the page. Click to get out of it. And then I can cut it off at 2.5 inches. So to do that, I could draw another line, hover it over the endpoint, move it over, so it says extension, and then I can do 2.5, enter. See it? It's drawing the line 2.5 inches away, and I can specify the next point. See how my line is all wiggly? If I wanted to specify an angle, I could tab over so that the degrees is highlighted, and I wanted 90 for this, but I could do 45 if I wanted. It's whatever you set. So if you click and specify a point and that was a mistake, you can hit U, enter, and it goes back. And now I can specify my angle again, tab 90, and right click to complete. Now this is the side of the line I want. I don't want this anymore. So if I hit TR for trim, enter, and select both objects, right click to complete, saying you're done selecting objects, and then select the side you want to trim. See when you hover your mouse over how the line kind of disappears? You're just selecting where you want to cut. So I'll click that one and it goes away, and then right click to complete trimming. And I can get rid of that line. Now a general rule in AutoCAD is that you never draft the same thing twice. Why waste your time? So instead of drawing this line again, we can mirror it to the other side. So to mirror, I can type MI for mirror, enter. I'm going to select my object, right click when I'm done selecting objects, and then specify the first point of the mirror line. For us, it's going to be the center of our area, so I'll zoom in to right here, the center, and then just draw a line up. And you can see that the line rotates around depending on the angle of your line. So I'm going to go straight up and click. The black dot is what is currently selected if you hit enter. And no, we don't want to erase, so I'll right click or hit enter or even spacebar. So I've done that. So now I've mirrored it. And now we want to make the diamond that encases the circles. So to do that, I'm going to do another line, L, enter, from the end point, and then I want a 45-degree line. So I could do that by just drawing a line up and then hitting tab to move the cursor over to enter an angle, 45, enter. And then enter again. And then I want to draw the other side, so enter again for another line, the end point on the other side, and then I want to do perpendicular. Click, and then enter to complete, and now I've got some excess lines, so I can trim that again, TR, enter, select both of my lines, enter to say you're done selecting, and then click the side you want to trim away. And now I can mirror that again. So to get out of this, enter to say you're done trimming. Now this time I can select my objects first before I select a command. So now MI, enter, and now it just jumps straight to specifying the first point of your mirror line. And that can be the end point to the other end point. And then don't erase source object, enter. So I can zoom in and see that it's perfect. Great. And now I can draw the lines up and down. L, enter. Midpoint, enter again, down, down. This is a good time to take a break.